Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Bluebeam Tools and Markups Made Easy. Just a little housekeeping before we get started here. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel and not in the chat panel. Also, a recorded version of this webinar will be available on our website and YouTube channel within a few days. You'll receive an email with the link when it's available. So before we jump into the webinar, I would like to introduce Microdesk to you all. Microdesk was founded in 1994 as an Autodesk reseller with a simple mission: to assist architecture, engineering, construction, owners, and GIS firms with improving workflows and integrating project delivery technologies. 25 years later, and that mission still holds true. Microdesk is a well-established AECO consulting firm with 13 offices in the US and UK. We have over 230 AECO consultants, solution specialists, and software developers that can help in all sectors, all disciplines, and at all stages. Some of the hottest topics in the AECO world are globalization, urbanization, and sustainability. Urbanization studies suggest that the US will build 114 cities the size of Boston in the next 30 years. Here at Microdesk, we can help to make sure you are prepared to meet these demands. We use software from industry leaders and combine it with our vision and passion for sustainability to meet the demands of urbanization. Our team of industry expert consultants are redefining project delivery and asset management. We partner with world leaders such as Autodesk and IBM to utilize innovative technologies and methodologies to empower sustainable design and overcome local challenges. Our vision is to reduce the environmental impact of urbanization by helping the AECO industry to design, construct, and operate better projects more efficiently by leveraging the full potential of BIM, VDC, and asset management. Microdesk has also developed BIMRX, a powerful suite of purpose-built projects that get projects out the door faster, with modeling, project management, and documentation features for leading Autodesk software. BIMRX will help you be more competitive globally while meeting the demands of urbanization. We're committed to helping clients realize the business benefits of BIM quickly and economically by facilitating the use of innovative technologies and processes. Whether it's streamlining your design, construction, or operations, our consultant team is the nation's largest and most experienced group of AECO technology consulting professionals. Microdesk clients represent some of the nation's largest and most respected organizations and public agencies, including the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey, Denver Airport, Robert A.M. Stern, and Columbia University, amongst many others. To help support the industry with these demands of urbanization, we provide full service consulting. This includes building information modeling services, enterprise strategy and workflow assessments, technology management, mentoring and support, application development, and much, much more. And my name is Michael Kirk. At Microdesk, I serve as an architectural solutions specialist. I specialize in assisting design organizations with integrating building information modeling into design processes, and I am a certified instructor in both Autodesk and other related software. I have worked with national architecture firms to provide on-site assistance and strategic consultation, as well as custom training content creation, and creating standards and workflows. I have expert knowledge in BIM tools such as Revit Architecture, Navisworks, AutoCAD Architecture, and Bluebeam. So during our presentation today, we will be touching on various aspects of the useful markup features available within Bluebeam, such as markups, both standard and custom markup properties, intro and purposes of the Markups list, tool sets, and creating custom tools. So we begin by discussing what markups are in general. Markups provide a method for annotating a PDF. Upon a save, they become part of the PDF, but not part of its underlying content. This allows them to be moved and edited easily. Each markup has a set of properties that controls its appearance and organizes related information. Markups can be locked to protect them from editing in a couple of ways. One of those ways is the flattening tool. In Revit, in review, flattening involves moving markups from the PDF's annotation layer to the content layer, in effect, making them part of the PDF. PDFs do not need to be opened when the flattening process is run, which is particularly useful when flattening markups on multiple PDFs. If the PDF is open when the markups are flattened, a manual save is needed to complete the process. Whereas if the PDFs are closed and added through the flattened markups dialog box, the document is automatically saved upon completion. Markup appearances and other aspects of them can be manipulated by working within the markup properties. These properties can be seen using toolbars such as the Properties toolbar, Appearance toolbar, Font, Line Style, or others. Those and other aspects of the markups can also be manipulated using the Properties panel. Here within the Properties panel, you will find a list of the properties that will be available to you in the Properties toolbar, but also much, much more that will help you with customization. When you customize tools, you're able to place them in the tool chest. The tool chest makes marking up documents much more efficient by storing and organizing frequently used markups for easy use and reuse. It automatically remembers recently used markups, can reapply a markup in its entirety or just using its properties, and automatically scale tools to fit different drawings without having to recreate the tool to match the drawing scale. Once tool sets are created, they can be saved for a single user within their profile or saved out to a network location for use by many. Tool sets can be exported by selecting the gear icon next to the tool set name. Tool sets can be imported via the Manage Tool Sets option in the tool chest pull-down menu. This will allow you to make this an enterprise level tool because one person can create the tool chests in the tool sets and place them in the tool chest and then save that out, and other users can then go to that network location and import that in, and then everybody within the organization or different departments within the organization will have access to the very same markups. The tool chest makes marking up documents much more efficient by storing and organizing frequently used documents. The tool sets can be used, once they're used, legends can be created from them, which will allow us to place those legends onto the actual documents. So when the markups are there, people will have instant recognition of what those markups stand for. And there are two types of legends that can be generated. There's a tool set legend, which uses the actual used markups from a particular tool set to create a legend. And then there is the ad hoc legend, which can include a combination of selected markups from multiple tool sets. Markup tools in the tools chest can also be displayed in different modes. Those two modes are properties mode and drawing mode. Right-clicking on the tool will display one of those modes. The properties mode adds new markup with the same appearance properties as the saved markup. In this mode, the properties are retained, but the exact dimensions, text, and so on are not. In the example that you'll see as we go forward, using the tool properties would create a new box around if we were creating the area. And it would create a box giving you the correct area of this new spot, but using the properties of the saved area calculation markup, which we'll demonstrate. The text inside of that box would represent the real-time value of the new area where that markup was placed. Drawing mode adds a new markup that is the exact duplicate of the saved markup. It will be as if you copy and pasted the original markup rather than made a new one of a similar type. And what you will see when we demonstrate this is that when you right-click on the actual tool in the tool set, it'll allow you to toggle between the two. Now, each of the markups that we have, you'll want to keep track of them. And that's what the markup list is for. The markup list tracks the markups placed on the PDF using columns such as author, date, status, comments, etc., with the ability to add additional columns of information to markups. These columns can be used to help sort the list for that particular piece of information. The columns shown in the markup list are highly customizable. The data displayed in the markups list is customizable. Users have control over which columns are shown and in what order, and create custom columns, including columns that perform user-defined calculations. 6 types of columns are supported, and you may add as many of each type as desired. And those choices for those columns are check marks, choices, dates, formulas, numbers, and text. Once those markups are there, what one may want to do is send this markup list out for distribution to other stakeholders on the project, as well as internally to kind of show where things are within the project and within the status of the markups. This can be done with a markup summary. And that markup summary is a way to publish a report of all the markups in the PDF file, including any embedded images. This summary can be sent to a printer, a CSV file, or an XML file that can be opened in Excel or other third-party programs, or appended to the end of a PDF. A summary differs from exporting markups because the data contained in the summary is formatted so that it can be read by other programs. So before we get to the questions, we're just going to jump right in, and I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of some of the tools that we talked about. So what you see here within our Bluebeam software is I have a sheet open, and one of the markups that you'll see that is set up here already is what's called, if I go to my tools, it's called a hyperlink. So what the hyperlink tool will allow us to do is set up a sheet so that it will send us to a specific window in another drawing or another drawing as a whole, depending on how we set it up. So I can go to a hyperlink, and it's going to ask me to set up a window around where I want that hyperlink to place. And now it's asking me to jump to a page, a place. And if I say I want to jump to a place, then it will let me create that place. And I will get a rectangle here. And what I say is, when I click on this room, I want you to actually jump to this room area. And it gives me the coordinates, and I select OK. And I give it the name, and I will call it room 129. And I select OK. That tells me what I have, and I select OK again, and then that's the snapshot that's there. And when I select it, you see that it automatically jumps me to that room. That is a form of a markup. Now, that form of a markup is done for navigational purposes. But we also have markups here that can be done for notation. I can choose a markup that say, if there are red lines within this PDF that I need to keep up with, I can use a highlighter to say, I've done this markup. That becomes a markup. So whatever revisions needed to happen in that area, I'm just signifying that I've completed them. That could be that markup. We also have markups where text boxes, if I want to say that in this area, I'm going to draw a text box. In this area, I wanted to say that this should be non-slip flooring in this area. And that becomes a text box for me. And adjust that text box. And then now I can add arrows. And each one of these becomes its own markup. I'm going to create that markup and delete this one and delete the other one. Or I can create the markup where all that is linked together by choosing a callout. And then that becomes a consolidated markup. So these are all markups. If I select this markup, I can go over to my panels, and I have a properties panel here that gives me all the information about that particular markup. And I can change it. So if I want to select, come in here and then change that, this should be a different color. Come down to my font, and my font, I want my font to be that same color. So I can change the color of that information within the markup by just selecting the markup and going over to the properties panel. Another set of markups that we don't really see here in these toolbars, because they have their own toolbars, are the measurement markups. You'll see those same things if I come to tools. I got my markup list here, but then if I go down a little bit further under tools, I have my measure tools, but they are still creating markups. If I wanted to create those, the one thing that I want to do before I begin creating any kind of dimensional markups is I want to make sure that there is a scale assigned to either the sheet as a whole or an area of that sheet. In this case, there is, but if there wasn't, this would say no scale set, and then I would left click on this field, and I can either set it by having it preset, using one of my preset, or going through and calling it custom, in which I can calibrate that scale. But either way, I would be applying the scale. I'll open up another drawing where we can go through and see that. So I'm just going to open up, try to find one that doesn't actually have a scale assigned to it. So this says scale not set. But if I zoom in, these are all 1/8 inch files. If I have a dimension here that this is 12 feet. So let's say this is not set and I want to set it. I'm going to left click on it. This is where it says scale not set. I'm going to call it custom so I can calibrate. And it's asking me to pick 2 points. I pick those 2 points and I tell it that's the dimension that it is. Recalibrate. And it tells me that this dimension is 12 feet. The 2 points that I picked should equal 12 feet based on that. And I apply the scale. Now I can do a markup. And my markup that I'm going to choose is my length markup. And I'm just going to pick 2 points. And you see that's calibrated and that's set up, giving me the right dimension. In my properties palette, there are my dimensions. That's my dimension. Here are the properties of that dimension. And then I can go through and change any of the properties that I want within that particular markup. So that's how specific we can get with that, with the properties of it. Now, each of these tools that we've created, if I want to reuse them, then I would want to take the tool, the markup, and place it on a tool chest. What you're looking at here is the default tool chest, or most of these are default for within Bluebeam. All depending on what profile you choose is going to be what tool sets you get by default, but you can feel free to add your own. I'm going to go back to the floor plan here, because if what I wanted to do is use one of the tools that I have here and place it on the tool set, I can left click on it and then right click to get to the properties and add it to a tool chest. And it gives me a list of what tool chest do I want to add it to. And I'm just going to add it to my tools, and you see it appears there as the 18th tool on that tool chest. If I want to use it again, then I just left click here, and there's my markup. The other thing with the markups is that if we were going back to the measurement tool, and what I wanted to do was take an area based off of what we've already done before, and I place the tool in the tool chest. If I right click on this, it says drawing mode. And as I mentioned before, drawing mode is an exact copy of the tool. What this toggle does, it says, if I toggle, this is showing me what it isn't. So the fact that it's showing me I can toggle to drawing mode is letting me know that this particular tool is in properties mode already. So if I want to use it, I just left click on it. It takes me to the area tool, and I'm just going to select the area here, snapping to those points. Hit enter. It's carrying the same properties as this tool was, but acclimating itself to the actual space that I picked, that I wanted to calculate the area for. Same thing would apply if I did it here. And this is going to be, because this is, the room is a little differently shaped, snapping to my corners, hit enter, same thing applies. Now, if I go to the markup next to it and right click on it, you see it's telling me I can toggle the properties mode because it is not currently in drawing mode. So if I use this tool, you'll see what it gives me, the exact shape of the first time that this tool was placed onto the tool chest. So that's the difference between properties mode and drawing mode when it comes to creating your tool chest, your tool set objects that have to do with measuring tools. But once all of these are done, and I place these on my tool chest, within my tool chest, I can then say, well, I need to create a legend based off of the legends that I've used, the tool set markups that I've used so far. So I'll create a new legend, and these are the markups that we've used within this so far. If I did the same thing here, create a markup based off of this takeoff menu and create a legend, then it shows me the carpeting that I just placed in. Those are some of the easy ways that you can take advantage of the markup tools and how easy they are to implement within your organization. I have my toolbars. I have my pull-down menus to gain access to those markups. And I have places to keep them and standardize them once I begin the usage. So with that, I'm going to jump back into the PowerPoint slide, and if anyone has any questions, we can look at the So we have a question that I think is referring to the downloading of tool sets for your tool chest, and you can find those are going to be available to you from Bluebeam support. So we have another question. How do you create and name a new tool set? This is going to take me, I'm going to end this slideshow and go back into Bluebeam to show you that. So what I can do is I can go up to the tool chest title and choose Manage Tool Sets. This will allow me to add a new tool set here. It will allow me to add a new tool set, but also control what tool sets that are currently available to me. Which of those do I want to see? So if I want to add a new one, I can just click add here, give it a new name, and then it'll create a tool set that I can then populate with items. Or if, how I mentioned before, we can take this to a bit of a higher organizational level, is someone can create the tool set and then save that tool set, export that tool set out. And I'm going to cancel here just to jump back into it for a second, but take the tool set and export it out. And then when I come back to manage tool sets, I can import it in if someone created it, and this is something that we want to use kind of on an organizational level. So this presentation will be available for download within a couple days, and each of you should be getting an email when it becomes available. So here we have a question of, can you have two different scales on a single sheet? Yes, you can. And this is how you can do it. I'm going to hit OK here to get out of this. I'm going to open up another sheet. Because let's say we have a situation where if I have details. Let's see if this is good. Right. Okay. So here we have 1 inch equals a foot and a 1/4 inch equals a foot. And if my intent is to create markups in both of those areas, what I can do is under my measure panel, I can set the scale of two different areas by creating viewports. I'm going to call this viewport just the detail name, detail at grade and roof detail. So I hit the plus sign here. And again, reiterating, go to my measurements panel, down to the viewports, click to add a viewport. I select the region to define the viewport with the window, give the viewport a name. It's preset, it's 1 inch equals a foot. What's the precision of the dimensions that I'm going to put in this area? I'm going to say it's 1/8 of an inch. And I can hit apply. That's one viewport. And you see it has the scale noted here. I'm going to go to another area and do the same thing. Create it. Select the two points that are going to serve as the region. Call this roof detail. That one was set at 1/4 inch. I'm going to leave that. Same thing applies. I'm going to make this precision at 1/8 of an inch. Hit apply. And now you see we have two different areas. So we can assign viewports. We just have to block off the area where the viewport is going to be shown. And then we can assign two different scales. So now whenever I go in and I do the length tool, I know that this is the right dimension based on that scale of that region. And when I come back up and do the length tool here, I know that's the right scale for that region. So if I want to, our question is, how do we export organize markups? So if I go to my markups list, and we have a list of our markups here, I can export a summary. And I just choose, in this case, because you want to open it in Excel, I choose the CSV file. It could be based off of a single PDF, as I have here, or if I had a multi-sheet PDF, I can just tell it to give me all of the markups off of all of the sheets in that multi-sheet PDF. And then what do I want? What columns is it that I want it to be part of that summary? Is there any sorting, that filtering and sorting that I want to do based on that? And then here's the output. Where is that output going to go? Then I can just tell that output that I need it to go here. And so select that folder. That's where that Bluebeam, that CSV file with the markup list is going to go. And then if I want to save this for usage later, sure. If I have one saved, I can load it. I select OK. And that's the organized list. So it's just the decision of what format you want that markup list. So deleting items from the markup list, if you can happen if your intent is to delete the markup. So deleting the markup will delete it from the markup list. If you just don't want to see it on the markup list for a particular purpose, then I would suggest using the filter, because then you can go through and select. Like for dates, I can say, well, I want to only filter it by what's been done in the last couple days. That will filter down my list, but not get rid of the markups and not get rid of the item from the markup list. It will just control what am I seeing. But if your intent is to delete the markup from the markup list and you're okay with deleting the markup also, then just select it and delete. So these are all great questions. I appreciate the participation and everyone asking great questions. And yes, when you are looking at your markup list, I'm going to unfilter. When you are looking at your markup list, when you select it, it's going to take you right to where that markup is. If it was a multi-sheet PDF, anywhere that you pick on that list is going to take you right to that sheet where that markup exists. Yes. So the markups that you're doing. So you're going to be, whoever created the markup is going to always be listed as the author. But whoever actually does the revision associated with the markup, or whatever needs to be done associated with that markup that's there, can change the status of it. And then once you change the status of it, like if I say this is completed, I become the person that is the person who marked it off. So it's my status based on me being in Bluebeam, particularly if what we're talking about, if we're working in a collaborative way using Bluebeam Studio, then multiple people have access to the PDFs, and whoever is doing the markups will just change the status, and that status will mark the person who actually dealt with the markup. So if there aren't any other questions, I do thank everyone for their time. And I hope you found this informative and got a lot out of it. So I look forward to hearing from each of you in the future. But just remember that the webinar recording, you will be getting notification that the webinar recording is available once it becomes available on our website or on our YouTube channel.